press and media. From its very inception, it has proven to be the most effective and rapid means of shifting public opinion. With just a single photo, an ordinary person can suddenly become a superstar. But with just a few baseless words, the life of a megastar can be shattered, turning them into a target of criticism. Thanks to the watchful eye of the media, the entire world witnessed one of the most mysterious accidents in history. On a night in August in Paris, a Mercedes crashed violently into a pillar, causing a chaotic scene. Just hours later, the world was stunned by the news. Princess Diana had passed away. The death of England's Rose not only left behind deep sorrow, but also unveiled countless unexplained mysteries. Was there a conspiracy behind this tragic accident? What was hiding behind the mist of that Parisian night? You are watching a scene from the famous Netflix series, The Crown. This show focuses on a figure regarded as the people's princess, Diana. So, who was this woman, and what made her so special? Diana was born on July 1st, 1961 in Sandringham, Norfolk, into a noble and prestigious family. She was the fourth of 5 children born to Viscount Althorp and Countess Spencer. Diana's Spencer family is one of the oldest and most esteemed aristocratic families in England, with close ties to the royal family. Perhaps it was this connection that gave Diana the chance to meet noble figures, including princes. In the summer of 1980, Diana and Prince Charles met during a hunting event organized by the Spencer family. Although she was only 19 at the time, her beauty and grace quickly won the favor of the royal family, and she was soon seen as the future queen. Coming from a similarly prestigious background, the royal family hastily pushed forward with plans for the wedding of the century between Charles and Diana on July 29, 1981. The fairy tale-like wedding was broadcast live to 750 million viewers around the world. The bride and groom wore embroidered silk shoes, diamond tiaras, and prepared a glass carriage. Over 2,500 guests were invited with gold-stamped invitations, and more than 6,000 gifts were delivered to St. James's Palace. Diana's wedding dress was handmade with 40 meters of silk, with the fabric grown and woven on a British farm. Most notably, the wedding rings were 18-karat gold, surrounded by 14 diamonds, valued at $63,000 at the time. This lavish spectacle made the entire world believe that Princess Diana was a happy woman. Not only with the wedding of the century, Diana was also loved and respected by the public for her charitable work and her care for the abandoned and suffering. She became a symbol of compassion, participating in many important campaigns such as raising awareness about HIV/AIDS, despite the heavy stigma surrounding the disease at the time. Moreover, she traveled to war-torn regions like Angola to raise awareness about the dangers of landmines. The image of Diana walking through a minefield became a global symbol. It seemed that Diana would continue her happiness with her family and remain a devoted humanitarian. But things began to deteriorate just 1 year after the wedding. The dream marriage of millions was not as beautiful as we had imagined. But why? Their happiness didn't last long. Conflicts between them grew, and they couldn't find a way to reconcile. However, the true cause of their problems wasn't as simple as that. The presence of another woman marked the end of what was once considered the most desirable marriage in the world. That woman was Camilla Parker Bowles. The media and press claimed that Camilla was the woman Prince Charles truly loved, and that the two were somehow destined to be together. In 1972, at a party, Camilla made a surprising revelation. Her great-grandmother and Charles's great-grandfather had once been lovers, which made her feel that they had much in common. This connection acted as a catalyst, bringing them closer together. Later that same year, Charles confessed his love for her, but Camilla turned him down out of fear of the constraints of royal life. By early 1973, she had married Major Andrew Parker Bowles, one of Charles's close friends. Although heartbroken, Charles, pressured by the royal family, had to marry Diana as a replacement. Camilla's rejection left Charles with a wound that never fully healed. And even after his marriage to Diana, he couldn't forget his profound love for Camilla. When their first son, Prince William, was born, the marriage began to strain. Charles's longing for and affection toward his former love grew stronger, which deeply hurt both Diana and Camilla's husband, Major Andrew Parker Bowles. Obsessed with his past love, Charles not only ruined his marriage, but also damaged his friendship with Andrew. As the tension in their marriage increased, the strict rules of the British royal family further exacerbated Diana's emotional struggles. She suffered from mental health crises, falling into depression and developing an eating disorder. Despite her deteriorating condition, Charles showed no concern. In 1994, during a BBC interview, Charles admitted that he and Camilla had been seeing each other all along. After marrying Diana, he had merely waited for the marriage to collapse so he could return to Camilla. This revelation confirmed to the public that Charles had never truly loved Diana, and that their wedding of the century had been nothing more than an obligation. In Diana's biography, the moment that truly killed their marriage was the birth of their second son, Harry. Charles had always longed for a daughter, and upon realizing he was the father of two boys, he couldn't hide his disappointment. He was even dismayed by Harry's red hair, a genetic trait from Diana's Spencer family. By December 1992, British Prime Minister John Major announced that the couple had officially separated. This news immediately grabbed the attention of the press, turning it into a major media frenzy. Interviews with both Charles and Diana became more frequent, revealing the grim reality of their marriage. It wasn't just Charles who had been unfaithful. Rumors also swirled that Diana had not been loyal to her husband either. Diana was said to have had an affair with several men, the first likely being her bodyguard, Barry Manakee. There were also allegations that she had relationships with other men. The flame of love between Charles and Diana had been completely extinguished, leaving no hope of reconciliation. Finally, in August 1996, the couple filed for divorce, and their marriage officially ended. After the divorce, Diana gained even more public attention than ever before. The paparazzi relentlessly pursued her, constantly trying to capture moments of her life. After the divorce, just a year later, Diana and her two sons were invited to relax on the luxury yacht of the Al Fayed family in the Mediterranean. This was a much-needed break for Diana, allowing her to unwind from the stress of the divorce. It was during this getaway that she met Dodi Fayed, the man we see now. Dodi, an Egyptian film producer, was the son of billionaire Mohammed Al Fayed. Their relationship quickly blossomed beyond friendship. Recognizing their compatibility, the couple continued to spend time together after the holiday. However, privacy was not as protected then as it is today, and the media soon caught wind of Diana's new relationship, splashing headlines everywhere. But this media frenzy did not seem to affect their budding romance too much. Tragically, this love story was cut short in a painful and mysterious way. In the early hours of August 31st, 1997, a catastrophic event shocked the world. Let's go back to the day before the accident. On their way back to London after the vacation, Diana and Dodi flew from Olbia Airport in Sardinia on Saturday, August 30th, landing at Le Bourget Airport in Paris. They checked into the Ritz Hotel, owned by the Fayed family, as they had plans to visit Dodi's father the next day. Diana's presence in Paris immediately caught the attention of journalists and paparazzi. Large crowds gathered outside Place Vendôme, where the Ritz Hotel was located, eager to capture images of the couple. To ensure Diana and Dodi's safety, the security team employed a decoy car to divert the paparazzi. This plan worked to an extent, with many photographers chasing the decoy. However, a few persistent photographers stayed behind, hoping for clearer shots of the couple. In an attempt to escape the remaining paparazzi, Diana, Dodi, bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones, and driver Henry Paul quietly exited through the back of the hotel and got into a waiting Mercedes S280 sedan, a reinforced vehicle. Despite the security measures, for some reason, none of the passengers were wearing seat belts. The Mercedes sped across Place de la Concorde, roads along the right bank of the Seine, before entering the Place de l'Alma tunnel. Eyewitnesses reported that the car was being chased by paparazzi as it entered the tunnel. Henry Paul, the driver, accelerated to over 100 km/h, double the speed limit, in an attempt to shake off the journalists. Unfortunately, their escape plan turned into a deadly disaster. Paul lost control of the vehicle, which first collided with a white Fiat Uno before careening into a concrete pillar. The horrific crash left witnesses and paparazzi alike in shock. Some tried to help the victims, while others shamelessly took grim photos of the wreckage to sell to newspapers. Police arrived at the scene to begin their investigation. The front of the car was completely destroyed. Henry Paul and Dodi Fayed died instantly. Trevor Rees-Jones, though seriously injured with multiple facial wounds and head trauma, survived but has no memory of the events. But what about our beloved princess? Was she still alive, or had she tragically perished in the crash? At first glance, it seemed Diana was not seriously injured. She was still conscious, though in severe shock. Paramedics immediately sedated her and rushed her to the hospital. However, on the way, Diana's heart stopped beating. Upon examination, it was discovered that the impact of the crash had displaced her heart to the right side of her chest, tearing the left pulmonary vein and damaging the pericardium. Her injuries were far worse than they appeared, and despite efforts to save her, Diana was pronounced dead at 3 a.m. The world was devastated by the sudden loss of the people's princess. Newspapers quickly ran headlines with bold print declaring, "Diana is dead." Her state funeral became one of the most sorrowful events in British history. People queued for hours to lay flowers and sign condolence books across the country. Approximately 3 million mourners lined the streets of London, while 31.5 million people in the UK watched the televised service. But was Diana's death truly just an accident? What were the police's final conclusions? And could there be sinister, hidden motives behind this tragic event? The French government's investigation into the accident that claimed the life of Princess Diana quickly concluded that the main cause was driver Henry Paul speeding while under the influence of alcohol. This conclusion sparked widespread anger and doubt around the world. Many, including the Al-Fayed family and parts of the public, did not believe that this was just a simple accident. They argued that the investigation rushed to blame Henry Paul without thoroughly examining other factors. The biggest question centered around the role of the paparazzi chasing the car that night. Some speculated that their relentless pursuit might have caused the crash, pressuring the driver to speed. Others went further, suggesting a more sinister plot behind the crash, possibly involving the royal family or government, aiming to silence Diana, who had become a powerful symbol of compassion and who was seen as a threat to certain aristocratic interests. Conspiracy theories quickly emerged, with the most notable being the claim that the crash was orchestrated. At that time, Princess Diana was extremely famous following her divorce from Prince Charles. She had become a great embarrassment to the British royal family and was stripped of her titles and privileges after everything that had happened. It was highly sensitive when a sudden accident occurred just as the scandals were coming to an end. As a result, there was a theory that the British royal family was behind the accident in order to eliminate the person who had tarnished their reputation. This idea was taken into consideration, and there was relatively convincing evidence. When the news of her death reached the public, the British royal family and Queen Elizabeth II were vacationing at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. They made no public statement and remained silent for several days afterward. This decision outraged the public, further fueling the belief that the British authorities were the true culprits. Under intense public criticism, Queen Elizabeth II was forced to change her stance. Evidence of this change was the royal family's unprecedented decision to lower the flag at Buckingham Palace to half-mast, a gesture never before made for a divorced member of the royal family. However, this was not enough to stop the public from gossiping and blaming the British royal family for orchestrating Diana's assassination. Could the royal family have arranged the accident, which explains their initial indifference? One of the most vocal figures at the time was billionaire Mohammed Al-Fayed, Dodi's father. He claimed that the British authorities staged the accident to prevent a Muslim man from marrying the beautiful princess. He specifically accused Prince Philip, the husband of Queen Elizabeth II, of orchestrating the murder of Diana and Dodi through British spies, as he did not approve of the relationship. Especially since Princess Diana's son would one day inherit the throne, it was hard for the British royal family to accept that the future king might call a Muslim man his father. According to Fayed, another car appeared inside the tunnel where the accident occurred, blocking the path of Diana's Mercedes and forcing driver Henry Paul to swerve abruptly. The paparazzi present at the scene were said to have cooperated with British intelligence MI6. If that were all, this theory might not have garnered so much support. The accident was also said to have paved the way for Charles to marry Camilla openly, and indeed, that did happen. Shortly after Diana's death, Charles and Camilla became more open about their relationship. In April 2005, the wedding took place, and Camilla became the queen consort. Alongside the accusations involving the British royal family, there is also a theory that the paparazzi deliberately caused the car accident. Could it really be that just by taking photos, the photographers led to the princess's death? A poll revealed that 43% of the British public blamed the press at that time. The reason being that before the incident, Diana was always the center of media attention. There were times when she was even called the most photographed woman in the world. She was virtually followed 24/7, and this excessive attention was believed to be a reason for the accident. Even when she arrived in Paris, it was no exception. The paparazzi relentlessly followed her, watching her every move to get the latest scoop on the superstar. On the night of the accident, the press chased Diana's Mercedes. In the low light conditions, the paparazzi were certainly using flashlights to get the best quality shots. The numerous flashes that went off could have impaired driver Henry Paul's vision, causing him to panic and accelerate. This may have caused the car to lose control, leading to the tragedy we now know. Additionally, the photographers worked for different companies and news agencies, so the competition to capture the best photo was inevitable. The chaos they created may have contributed to the horrific accident. Do you remember the Fiat Uno that Henry Paul crashed into before the tragedy unfolded? Coincidentally, a professional French paparazzo named James Anderson also owned a similar vehicle. Public suspicion quickly fell on this man, and many believed that the photographers were responsible for the crash. According to billionaire Al Fayed, he believed that Anderson had collaborated with MI6 to carry out a plot to kill the princess and his son. However, further analysis revealed that the white paint found on Diana's Mercedes did not match the paint on the Fiat Uno owned by Anderson. Additionally, Anderson's wife claimed that her husband was at home on the night of the accident. This did not ease the pressure on the police or the media. 3 years after the accident, Anderson's body was found inside a burning BMW with a gunshot wound to the head. Surely, like me, you also feel that something strange is going on here. Just as suspicion was focusing on the paparazzi, Anderson, the most suspected man, suddenly died. Many believe that this photographer was silenced by MI6 to cover up the truth about the princess's death, ensuring that the real story would never be revealed. It's reminiscent of how mobsters eliminate witnesses in detective stories we often hear about. This theory, while considered somewhat reasonable, was quickly dismissed. Taking photos is a normal act for paparazzi. There is no concrete evidence to suggest that they were part of a criminal conspiracy. So, what is the most reasonable explanation? After everything, could it be that the death of the Princess of Wales was merely an accident? There was a source that claimed 2 years before Princess Diana's death, she had repeatedly told her close friends that her car's brakes had been tampered with. After the French investigation, British police also began looking into Diana's death. 3 forensic and traffic collision experts examined all aspects of the crash to try to determine whether anything had interfered with the vehicle. Indeed, it's hard not to think about the possibility that someone had tampered with the Mercedes. They used an identical car to Diana's for comparison to check for any differences. However, there were no signs of anything being attached to or any parts of the vehicle being damaged. Like many of the previous theories, we don't have any concrete evidence. The case hit another dead end. The police concluded that they found no evidence of any external interference with the Mercedes that caused the accident. But let's shift perspectives for a moment. If the culprit was one of the 3 people in the car with Diana, then everything changes. Naturally, the most suspected person is the driver, Paul, who died at the scene. What could have caused him to sacrifice himself in such a shocking event? Was Paul a spy for some organization? The biggest question here is whether Paul was actually drunk at the time of the accident. As a security manager, he must have understood that he was responsible for the lives of a superstar like Diana and a billionaire's son, Dodi. Drinking before driving would be dangerous, and Paul surely knew the consequences if something went wrong with these two important people. Moreover, Paul's blood alcohol level was 3 times over the legal limit. This detail has sparked controversy to this day. After all, the other passengers in the car might have noticed the driver's intoxication through the smell of alcohol or his flushed face. Did Diana really trust a drunk man to help her escape from the paparazzi? When those close to him were interviewed, they described Paul as a responsible person who always did his job well and prioritized human safety. So, could the police have made an error in their conclusions? Some conspiracy theories suggest that Paul's blood test results were tampered with. Blood samples were taken immediately after the accident and during the autopsy. Therefore, the possibility of substitution cannot be ruled out. It's possible that Paul had consumed alcohol, but not in the excessive amounts reported. Supporters of this theory also point out that Paul appeared sober and showed no signs of intoxication when leaving the Ritz Hotel. I'm forced to question this reasoning. If Paul was sober, why did he cause such a horrific accident? Many believe that in addition to being a security manager, Paul was a spy for an intelligence agency like MI6. This suspicion arises from the discovery of unexplained assets in his possession. Paul had large sums of money in bank accounts that his job at the Ritz could not have provided, but a large organization could. It has been speculated that Paul was paid to assist in a plot to cause the deaths of Diana and Dodi. An assassination plan had been orchestrated, and Paul was the one to carry it out. When he was assigned to drive Diana in the Mercedes, he knew the paparazzi would be hot on their heels. He was directed to drive into the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris at high speed, crashing at a predetermined location. Taking advantage of the flashing camera lights, the accident appeared accidental, and no one suspected the driver. While the paparazzi might have caused Paul to lose control, it could have been in a calculated manner. Additionally, Paul's driving speed was said to be unusually high. Helping Diana escape the press was his duty, but driving over 100 km/h would also put the journalists in danger. Amid the many accusations and conspiracy theories involving intelligence agencies, Britain had to launch another investigation. The government completely rejected the speculation that Paul was a spy and the main culprit behind the accident. Once again, a theory without solid evidence. Will the answer remain forever unknown? The death of Princess Diana was a tragic event that captured the attention of the entire world. It was not only the passing of a beautiful yet ill-fated woman, but also raised many questions about the media, the royal family, and the nature of celebrity in society. Official investigations concluded that it was an accident caused by a drunk driver speeding. However, conspiracy theories persist, believing that the death of the English Rose was far more complicated than that. Her passing symbolizes the collapse of a royal dream and the loss of trust in the powerful forces behind the scenes. It also reveals that mysteries always linger behind the glitter of fame and power. Therefore, we can only believe that the princess tragically died in a car accident, rather than due to any other reasons or conspiracies. Personally, I believe that Diana's death left an unfilled gap in the public's understanding of her life. The love the public had for her transcended her death, turning Diana into a legend. She will always be remembered not just for the tragedy, but also for the life she lived with compassion and kindness. From a girl with a wounded childhood, Diana became a symbol of humanity, a woman who longed to change the world. Although beloved by the public, Diana's life was filled with suffering and hardship, ending in a horrifying accident. What was the true cause of her death? Who was behind it all? We can never be completely certain. Countless mysteries and theories have been discussed, but the case remains in the past. However, I believe the legacy Diana left behind will always live on, inspiring future generations. Do you think Diana was assassinated? Share your thoughts in the comments below so we can discuss and explore the topic together. Finally, goodbye, and see you in the next video.